Billy Luna.
Today, I'm going to tell you about Skinny Joey Merlino's high-priced, wisecracking super lawyer, Eddie Jacobs Jr. Eddie is a mouthpiece who is as fierce and dangerous in the courtroom as Skinny Joey was on the streets of South Philly. And, like Skinny Joey Merlino, Eddie Jacobs has jokes.
Billy Luna.
This is a portrait of a gangster, a courtroom alpha predator, a ruthless legal eagle who strikes fear in the hearts of his prosecutorial adversaries. When you're doing criminal defense work, you can't be a sissy, says Eddie Jacobs, Skinny Joey Merlino's longtime ruthless legal eagle defense attorney.
Please subscribe to the Billy Luna channel and like the video. Thank you.
In June of 1999, alleged Philadelphia Mafia boss Skinny Joey Merlino was indicted on 36 counts involving murder and conspiracy to murder, violent crime in aid of racketeering, extortion, and conspiracy to extort, the operation of illegal sports bookmaking businesses, and thefts of goods in interstate commerce. Defended by Eddie Jacobs, Merlino was acquitted of the murder, attempt to murder, and drug charges, but found guilty on the racketeering charges. Although sentenced to 12 years for his racketeering engagement, Merlino's reaction to the press was, quote, "Ain't bad, better than the death penalty." As Philly.com summarized post-trial, Jacobs was the, quote, alpha lawyer, the first chair in the powerhouse group who dominated the defense. Eddie Jacobs battled it out in the jury box, a legal gunslinger fighting for Skinny Joey Merlino in a 17-week trial involving 8 alleged organized crime associates from South Jersey and Philadelphia, all of whom were convicted of 32 racketeering charges. Eddie Jacobs' star client, Skinny Joey Merlino, the alleged mafia boss of the Philadelphia Cosa Nostra, was convicted of racketeering, but acquitted of the charges that he ordered the 1996 murder of Joseph Sedano, an alleged captain in the Philadelphia crime family. Eddie Jacobs has a love affair with the media. The walls of his office, a former church on Pacific Avenue, are covered with courtroom sketches of Mr. Jacobs in action, as well as framed enlargements of some of his newspaper clippings. But the enlargement that draws much of the attention is a 1998 transcript provided by the FBI of a conversation between Vince Filippelli and Ron Previty, 2 alleged organized crime figures from South Jersey. Of course, Previty would turn rat. "If I was him," Mr. Filippelli said, referring to a convicted associate, "I would have grabbed Eddie Jacobs." With that, Mr. Previty replied, "They're scared of Eddie." Back in the day, Eddie Jacobs was interviewed by the New York Times. Eddie sat for the Times interview wearing blue jeans and a black Bada Bing t-shirt from The Sopranos. Eddie said that his services don't come cheaply. But then Eddie adds that he wishes he had, quote, half the money they say I have. Eddie Jacobs' current rate is upwards of $1,000 an hour for criminal defense work. Eddie explains that payment for more complicated cases, which just about any case involving an alleged gangster, is negotiated. And that's based on the assumption you're going to get paid at all, Eddie Jacobs adds. If they're in jail, or they're going to jail, or they just got out of jail, and they have to put their lives back together, what can you do? As for the conception that prosecutors are scared of him, Eddie Jacobs smiles and says, quote, "For that, you have to ask the other guys." He means the prosecutors who have had the displeasure of going up against him in a courtroom. Many of these prosecutors who have had Mr. Jacobs as a courtroom adversary were curiously tight-lipped when asked about Mr. Jacobs. Take Atlantic County Prosecutor Jeffrey Blitz, whom Mr. Jacobs once referred to as the, quote, Prince of Darkness, who through a spokeswoman was, quote, disinclined to be interviewed on the subject of Eddie Jacobs. Joel Friedman, a criminal lawyer and former United States attorney who sent several alleged members of the Philadelphia, New Jersey mob to jail, also declined to comment. In March of 1994, prominent Camden, New Jersey criminal defense attorney Salvatore Aina was indicted on racketeering charges after over 2 years of the FBI recording conversations among Aina and well-known alleged mobsters, which took place in his law office. Law enforcement officials claim that the conversations between Aina and his co-defendants tied him to the John Stanfa-controlled Philadelphia Mafia family and made Aina responsible for the attempted murder of Stanfa's alleged rival, Skinny Joey Merlino. The trial, U.S. Assistant Attorney summed Aina up as, quote, a lawyer gone bad, using the FBI tapes to make it seem like he was a lawyer who got too greedy and crossed over the line to the mob. If convicted, Aina could have faced up to 40 years in prison. But after a 10-week trial, the Philadelphia jury acquitted him of nearly all charges, the most important being the attempted murder of alleged rival Skinny Joey Merlino. The jury deadlocked on some charges, and the government declined a retrial. Salvatore Aina, the lawyer whom Eddie Jacobs represented and got cleared of criminal conspiracy charges in the case, had nothing but praise for Eddie Jacobs. Without question, Eddie's one of the best, Sal Aina said in an interview. I'm saying this because I hired him. I have represented mobsters for most of my professional career, so I know what you go up against when you have these kind of clients. Eddie Jacobs comes off as a reasonable, down-to-earth kind of guy, Aina said, but he can be very convincing, even when he's being humorous. For instance, Mr. Aina cited an off-the-cuff remark Mr. Jacobs made when cross-examining a special agent for the FBI. Eddie said, "What's so special about you?" Mr. Aina said it broke up the tension, and it also served to keep the jury on his side. Jacobs, who is the son of a New Jersey bank branch manager, graduated from Rutgers University with a bachelor's degree in economics. When he was put on a waiting list for admission to the Rutgers School of Law, Eddie Jacobs made an appointment with the dean of admissions and essentially talked his way in. I found out later that my name had been confused with someone else who hadn't been as well qualified, Eddie said. I learned the lesson. People in a position of power can and will make mistakes, and that the system these people of power are in is set up in such a way that it makes it appear that all judgments are final and cannot be questioned or debated. You have to make an enormous effort to remind the powerful that they're human too. In the early 1970s, Eddie Jacobs worked as a public defender and then went into private practice as a trial lawyer, quote, because I didn't want to sit in an office all day. I wanted to try cases. Eddie Jacobs also sought work from other criminal defense lawyers, including Sal Aina, whom he approached in an Atlantic City restaurant. Eddie's not shy, Aina said. Eddie Jacobs worked with Aina and a Philadelphia lawyer, Robert Simone, on a case involving more than a dozen alleged mobsters from Philadelphia and South Jersey. Mr. Jacobs went on to defend both lawyers in separate trials on racketeering charges. Attorney Simone was convicted of 3 of 9 charges and served a 4-year prison term, while attorney Aina was acquitted. Indeed, Mr. Jacobs said that he considered his defense of Mr. Aina, quote, one of the most important of my career. The FBI came in and deliberately violated the lawyer-client privilege when they bugged Sal's office, he said. Then the prosecution read all these things into transcripts so they could make Sal out as a mobster. I had to show a jury that the lawyer-client privilege must remain sacred because when the government bugs a law office and then distorts what is said in confidence so they can lock someone up, they're one step away from a police state. Let me know what you all think in the comments of these cases and Skinny Joey Merlino's wisecracking super lawyer, Eddie Jacobs.
Billy Luna.
Please subscribe to the Billy Luna channel and like the video. Thank you.